getting the best fit British boarding school for their children, and we're excited about it. We're really, really excited about it. Today we have a lot packed for you. Before now, the anniversary celebration started in March with a webinar, and it was loaded. If you missed that, the videos are still on YouTube for you to go back to. And I really, really advise that you go back to those videos because there is a lot to learn from that webinar. So today we're going to be having a fantastic discussion, fireside chat as well. Before we start, we want to welcome every one of you to this webinar. We want to thank those who have been on this journey with us. It's been amazing, and we couldn't have done it without all of you, and we really want to say thank you. So today we have another amazing discussion, and this one has been themed reimagined potentials to performance. Yes, so moving from potentials to performance. Today we're going to be having discussions about um, discovering potentials in your children. How do you discover potentials? How do you notice those potentials? And then even when you notice those potentials, do your children actually realize they have those potentials? How do you bring the best out of your children? And how do you now move? How do you metamorphose from that stage of noticing the potentials to actually performing, to performance, and then positioning for opportunities? How do you even identify opportunities? Because it's one thing to have opportunities around you, it's another thing to be able to identify those opportunities. How do you position for opportunities? So this and many more are the things we're going to be unpacking in today's webinar. So if you're here, I want you to get a comfortable seat because it's about to rain knowledge, it's about to rain insights, and so on. Make sure you have your pads with you, you have your notebooks, you have your pen so that you don't miss any point. You don't want to miss any point today. So if you know anyone who is supposed to be part of this conversation and the person is not here, or someone who is supposed to be on this webinar and hasn't joined yet, this is the best time to reach out to them and tell them it has started, because it's about to get started right now. And we have on ground today very amazing speakers. Yes, we have two amazing speakers. So without much ado, I'd like to go right into introducing our amazing speakers. Our amazing speakers are people who are they're well sought after speakers. The first person I'd like to introduce is Dr. Alo Ohio-Omonkhomion. Dr. Alo Ohio is an award-winning educational consultant, economist, and thought leader in the British and Nigerian education spaces. She is the founder and lead consultant at Bread and Butter, a bespoke consultancy placing African children in top-fit British boarding schools. A proud alumna of Queen's College, Lagos, and Oxford Tutorial College, she earned her BSc in economics from the University of Hull at 19, winning the CIMA Prize for Academic Excellence, followed by an MSc from the University of Nottingham and a PhD in Development Studies from the University of Sussex, ranked #1 globally for discipline in 2017. Dr. Alo, recognized as one of the top 50 Black future leaders in the UK. That was in 2008. Dr. Alo has lectured at both the University of Sussex and University of Brighton. She is the convener of Brains and Banter, an intellectual platform for diasporan African dialogue, which has hosted events at Oxford University and the London School of Economics. Her initiatives also include Brains and Butter Cups, a summer school for children ages 5 to 12, focused on African identity and heritage. Beyond a consultancy, she serves as a director of education at Ostrich Schools and president of the Queen's College Lagos class of 1999, leading over 500 high-achieving women. She is widely recognized as an educational entrepreneur, a sought-after public speaker, and a leader whose work sits at the intersection of education, economic development, and community transformation. She is married with 3 children and lives a life deeply rooted in faith, family, and impact. Ladies and gentlemen, with all the emojis, the thumbs up, the claps, the love, let us make welcome, let us make warm, Dr. Alo. Let me see your emojis. Let me see your emojis. Let her feel warm, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Dr. Alo. It's always a delight to have you.
Likewise. Thank you. I know you have a busy morning ahead of you. So thank you so much for making time out this morning for this.
Always a pleasure. Okay, so I'll go right ahead to introduce the second speaker. And here we have Coach Tunji Babajide. Coach Tunji Babajide, with close to 2 decades of unwavering dedication to mental health counseling, integrative coaching, and personal development, Tunji Babajide has cemented his reputation as a trailblazer in the fields of mental wellness and holistic transformation. His unparalleled expertise has profoundly impacted families, organizations, net worth individuals, and communities across the United Kingdom, Nigeria, and around the globe. Tunji's innovative approach seamlessly blends evidence-based mental health counseling with integrative coaching techniques, providing a tailored and holistic roadmap to emotional, mental, and relational well-being. By identifying root causes and offering practical, data-driven solutions, Tunji empowers his clients to overcome obstacles, break cycles of dysfunction, unlock their full potential, and remain accountable to commitments made. From boardrooms to family settings, Tunji's work fosters resilience, emotional intelligence, and sustainable success. His services have been sought after by global organizations looking to enhance workplace mental health, high net worth individuals seeking fulfillment beyond material success, and families striving to build stronger, healthier bonds. Tunji's testimonials speak volumes. Clients from diverse backgrounds consistently praise his ability to deliver profound, lasting results. His work has earned him international recognition, making him a highly sought after speaker on global stages. Tunji is celebrated for his ability to connect with audiences, inspire transformation, and ignite conversations around mental health, relationships, and personal growth. Ladies and gentlemen, let's make welcome Coach Tunji Babajide. Let the emojis come up. Let's see you clapping.
Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here. And thank you for the very warm welcome, Bimpe.
My pleasure. It's good to have you here.
You're
And
welcome.
no doubt, I know we're going to have a very robust conversation here today. And I know parents are itching to learn and, take all the notes they can today. So without much ado, I'd like us to jump straight into today's conversation. And today's conversation is what we have themed reemerging, moving from potential to performance. So I'd like to start with Coach Tunji. When we talk about helping a child move from potential to performance, what does this truly mean in today's educational landscape?
Thank you. And I want to say a big congratulations for the 10th year anniversary. It just didn't occur to me that it's been 10 years. And that is highly, highly, warm. And for me, it's just the beginning of many more years of accomplishment. So congrats, Dr. Alo, and the rest of the team. Yes. So the bridge between potential and performance, for me, goes beyond intelligence. It talks about emotional well-being, the confidence, the resilience, the support system. Maybe I would like to put it this way. I think for us to be able to move, children from potential to performance, I think it would be good for us to start with doing a proper psychosocial evaluation, right? Because many times there's a lot of noise about, is it an elite school? Is it a premium environment? And I remember particularly last year I had a particular family, same boarding school in the United Kingdom here. Um, one of the children, I mean, one of the child was thriving well, the other one was struggling. And I went back to them. I said, "Can we just do a proper you know, evaluation of psychosocial evaluation of this child? How emotionally prepared? One was emotionally prepared, the other one was not." And you see, when we do psychosocial evaluation, the goal is not to label the child, but to understand how they think, how they feel, how they relate, and how they respond to challenges. So the question for people bringing their kids to UK boarding school is not about, is that school going to fit in? It's about what is the psychosocial readiness of the child. Because it takes, the healthy to give blood. Many times I have seen parents, particularly from the African descent, use negative reinforcement to achieve positive behavior. All right. And so sometimes the kids are not that they probably didn't even have the right, environment growing up. And it takes the healthy to donate blood. So most times we have parents who have raised children who are not psychosocially ready for the boarding school they want to take them to. Now, going back to your question, now performance is how a potential consistently finds expression. Potential is what they're able to do. The gap transcend intelligence. The gap is the ability to do that psychosocial, evaluation, so that it would even be useful for the parents to help them move from assumption, because parents project their fears. Parents project their fears, their ambitions, and all of that on the children. So it's important that we go first to the drawing board. I know that brain and butters door evaluation. I think that if the psychosocial evaluation is brought on the table, that will say a lot about the psychosocial support needed for the child to move from potential to performance. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Alo, Coach Tunji mentioned um, doing proper psychosocial evaluation, and you also mentioned about a child being fit for a school. So why is finding the right fit more, a lot of parents would rather go for popular schools or prestigious schools. So why do you think finding the right fit for a child is more important than simply choosing a popular school over a prestigious school?
Because it's all about the environment that is right for that child. So let me give an example of animals. A fish can't survive outside of water for the most part. You need to put a fish in water for the fish to survive. Now, bear in mind that in that scenario, we're talking about survival, right? But there's also the ability to thrive. Now, if you put a dolphin or a whale in water that has very low salinity, which means the amount of dissolved salt in that water is quite low, the dolphin cannot survive. The dolphin cannot thrive in that water environment, that neither can the whale. So it has to be the right environment. First of all, it has to be the ideal environment to survive, then the right environment for the fish to thrive, as it were. Another example that comes to my mind is mountain goats, for example. A mountain goat needs to be on a mountain to survive because they need that terrain to be able to avoid predators, to be able to avoid the harsh weather. Now let's come back to a child. Why is it important for a child to be in an environment where they will thrive? I want to leverage on the back of what Dr. Tunji said about doing the psychosocial analysis of the child. Let's understand, where are we starting from? What
Yeah.
do we know about this child? One of the things that, you know, I've encouraged people to do, and it's something we did as well as a family, was to actually observe our children and note down what their strengths were, what their weaknesses were. So we have three children, and we realized that how you motivate child A, what works for child A is different from what works for child B. Same home, same mom, same dad, but just different wirings, different makeup. So you have to understand the child to be able to understand where the child will thrive. Again, it's like farmers. Farmers know the type of soil. There are certain
Mm.
soils that will grow in Edo State. Sorry, certain maybe palm oil, for example, is rampant in my state, but in some other states, it might be groundnuts that thrive in their soil type. So you need to understand your child. You need to understand the seed. You need to understand the right environment where that child can thrive. And to understand your child, you need to do an analysis. You can't just waltz into it. You need to know, okay, what is this child's makeup? What is this child's temperament? Is this child like an orchid? In what circumstances can you bring out the best from this child? And that's where that analysis comes in, which is why one of the things we do at Brains and Butter, our very first meeting is, let's get to know the family. Oh, you need to even know the family as well. You need to know the family cycle. You even need some historical information. You know, when we go to doctors and the doctors will ask, oh, does anybody have any history um of hypertension in your family? Does anybody have any? Because these things actually tell us a story about
Mm.
lineage, about the environment even the parents were nurtured in, about their disposure to certain um things, for example. So being able to understand the child, understand the environment the child is in, goes a very, very long way. Now knowing, okay, this is this child's temperament. Now, these are the environments in which this child will thrive in. Because if you put the child in the wrong environment, it can be disastrous. Many people are still recovering from being bullied, for example, or
Yeah.
from not having what it is they were passionate about brought out
Mm.
of them. They're still recovering. And you see people thinking, oh, I wish I had this amazing art teacher. I wish someone taught me French better. Or I wish I was given an opportunity to learn how to swim, for example. So the
Yeah.
right environment really does matter, not just for survival, but for thriving and for taking a child from potential to performance.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Can I just write a bit on that, Bimpe?
Okay, please go
Yeah.
ahead.
So just to write on what she said, part of the psychosocial support that will be tailored towards a child must include s- making sure that the people in the environment, the teachers, the support system, give them five things. They must have somewhere to belong. That sense of belonging is important for the environment, and they must have someone to believe in them, someone who can say to them, "You're great, that low, you can work on this," because a lot of times you see people who are afraid to speak their truth because they came from an environment where they've lost their innocency, they've lost their freedom, their peace, and I don't want to flog that, but the teachers, the support system must have that, the someone to believe in. Thirdly, they must have values to believe. All right. So what are the values that aligns with, the future of the child? All right. Then also they must have something to become. Every child must, that picture must be there. Okay, if you're in A levels or you're in high school, whatever it is, now what am I becoming, right? Because many times I've seen people in boarding school miss out on, I don't even belong here in the first place. They didn't make me feel belong. They didn't make me feel like they had something to believe. Then when it now comes back to the parents now also must be part of the psychosocial support, right? Because it takes someone who is healthy to donate blood. And many parents also must now unlearn whatever it is that has not even made their kids feel free to be able to tell them their truth. Because sometimes I ask parents, so what kind of kids do you want to raise? And they rant, oh, the one very popular one for faith-based people is, oh, I want a very godly child. And I ask them, who do you need to become to raise a godly child? And they go quiet because the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree, right?
Mm.
So, what I also would suggest for brain and butter, as we go from 10 years, is, are there sessions for parents? So that everyone can be on the same page to say, student A needs psychosocial support in emotion. She has that, she's not socially prepared. So how do we prepare her? Because when parents come to my office and they say, "Oh, my son is not doing well," I say, "Well, that's your report card, because parenting is an 18-year curriculum. After that is damage control." So as we try to do the damage control, as it were, I think that parents also need to step on the scale to see the gaps of the psychosocial environments that they had growing up and how they need to start to make adjustments for the kids to have advancement. Thank you.
Amazing. So many points to take notes here. So we talk about different things to note before putting a child in a boarding school or in a particular boarding school. We talked about the temperament, the family history, and so much more. So, Coach Tunji, what would you say, or how important would you say a child's personality is to personality and learning style when it comes to matching a child to a school? How important is the personality and learning style to
Yeah,
matching?
so many children are a product of the environment where they grew up in. So when people say that's who my child is, that's who your child has become. And that's not the only thing they can do. It's just a reflection of what they're able to do now. So I think it's important for every parent to partner with brain and butter, that, like, we've said, to be able to help them do that analysis. Then we'll now begin to see where we can make the adjustment, because at age 18 upwards, where most of them come, maybe 16 upwards, where most of them come to school, there's still that room to begin to, change their approach. Now, if they come in and we found out that the psychosocial, evaluation shows that they have gaps, with, how they feel loved, they have gaps with trust issues, they have gaps with whatever the gaps are, that will now determine how we will handhold them in psychosocial support to be able to bring out the best in them. You see, because when children feel they're loved, when they feel that they are heard, when they feel that they are valued, when they feel that their outcomes does not determine whether they're loved or otherwise, they're able to flourish, they're able to take risks, they're able to do a whole lot more. So I think it's back to what I said earlier. The psychosocial evaluation will now determine where the gaps are. I don't like a one size fits all. Even as we're talking about the environment, there can be 8 people in a class and they all need different psychosocial support to make them thrive and become all that they were designed to be. So I would leave it to coming back to what we find, because honestly, just like Dr. Alo said, when we ask for history, when you go to a doctor, he says, "Do you have hypertension in your history? Do you have other things that we needs us to put in our box?" The same way, I feel that diagnosis must be precede prescription. All right, as we handhold these kids in the boarding school, the toolbox that comes out from the psychosocial evaluation will now help us see where we can tweak certain things and where we can make tailor-made bespoke solution to help them to thrive in the environment. That's my thoughts, honestly.
Great. So, Dr. Alo, if I understand all of this, well, what you're trying to say is that it is not enough to say, oh, this child's older siblings attended this school, so this is the school I'm going to take my
Mhm.
child to.
Mhm.
That choosing a school has to be individualized. But we
Mhm.
see that a lot of parents focus heavily on rankings. They
Mhm.
look at, oh, this is a school everybody in my family has attended. And
Mm.
then, so many other, they look at prestige and all of that. So how can families avoid making decisions
Mhm.
based solely on prestige or all of these other things I have mentioned? Dr.
Wow.
Alo.
Yeah. So, the topic of this webinar is from potential to performance.
Mhm.
And as I was reflecting and preparing for it, I said to myself, if I were to capture that
Mm.
thing that takes a child from potential to performance, I will
Mm.
put a middle P and I would say parenting.
Mm.
Yeah.
Initially, I thought of education, but part of what a parent does is actually providing the right educational environment for that child.
Mm.
Now, for you to be able to take your child, because God has blessed everybody with talents. We even see that in the Bible. God has given to everyone a measure of talent that he deems fit for that person. Now, for us to go through that journey of taking them from potential to performance, we need to understand, how the Bible says, train up a child in the way that he should go. Because there's a way that a child should go, there's a way designed for every child. It is our job as parents to really like. I really liked when Dr. Tunji talked about it's an 18 years curriculum because really it's a marathon. You are in it for, in fact, it's lifelong, right? You need to actually understand, I would say, four things about the child. I always like to think about it as a quadrant. So the top left-hand side of the quadrant is what is the personality of this child, which was the question you were asking. What is this child's disposed to? How does this child function? When is this child her happiest or his happiest? Let's understand this child. Is this child introverted, extroverted? And can I just say, there's so many personality tests. So many people started to discover themselves in their 20s or 30s before they did their first
Mm.
Myers-Briggs personality test. I remember several years when I would hear EFNJ, INFP, this, that, and the other. I'm like, what are these letters? And to be honest, let me confess, I wasn't
Okay.
to all these things before. I was like, don't come and box me. But when I realized how powerful these tools were, I was like, oh my goodness, we are
Mm.
sitting on a
Gold
minefield. There's
mine.
even the
Yeah.
Clifton strength that you can actually do to really understand yourself. So there are
Mm.
tools that have already been designed to help people, and people just need to invest time in using these tools and even get your child to do a Myers-Briggs test or a Clifton Strengths test. It's very, and there are a whole lot more. Then on the top right-hand side of the quadrant is the academic side of it. Academics matter. It's called a discipline for a reason. There are certain subjects that children are prone to more than others. And some children are even all rounders. They would thrive in every, so they are very good at every subject. But if you actually observe closely, you will know, oh, is it
Mm.
history that this child likes, or is it art, or it's biology, it's chemistry? Of the three sciences, I actually enjoyed chemistry the most, more than biology. I enjoyed biology because biology got me to draw, and I do have an artistic flair to me. So I enjoyed that. But chemistry was my thing. So you need to understand what is the academic, what are the natural academic affinities of your child. Gone are the days of arts and sciences. That dichotomy no longer exists. Like I don't even think it was ever the right thing to say this is an art student, this is a science student. No, I never bought into that philosophy. So understand the academic affinities of your child, and then there are certain schools that do a better job at certain subjects more than others. And how would you know? If you check their GCSE results, check their WAEC results, check their lever destinations, check the courses that the children from those schools are going on to study, it will tell you about the strength of the provision of that particular subject within the school. Sometimes it's a function of the teaching strength, sometimes a function of even just the sets, the classmates, different things, or the facilities the school has at their disposal. Many schools will try and deliver every subject to the best of their ability, but some are particularly good at certain subjects than others. For example, some schools are really strong in their performing arts and they are doing back-to-back productions because drama is a big thing for them. For other schools, maybe it's once a term they will have a production. It's not really a big deal in that school, but they will do the basic. And for a child who has an academic affinity towards a particular subject or group of subjects, you want them to be in an environment where they would really have so much to do. So, for example, this term in my son's school is athletics, and athletics is his thing. His confidence has gone to the roof because he's topping the charts. He's coming first in 100 meters, triple jump. He's been selected for county, and it is reflecting academically as well because he's happy. He's thriving this, and that was actually one of the reasons we chose this school because it was more athletic. We knew they had the fields. They didn't just hire one place for athletic track and field. They own the fields. They are really into their track and field and the athletics, and we can see him thriving. Now, the bottom left part of the quadrant is what happens outside the classroom. And this is where I really want to speak to our parents. Beyond the maths and the English, beyond the history and the Latin, what body of knowledge is your child investing in? That if they have to sit at an interview, they will school the interviewer on that body of knowledge. So my husband was on the train with a boy on Wednesday. He's a 17-year-old. He was given two job offers. He's an aeronautic engineer. He's into aeronautic engineering, and he was spoiled for choice at 17. So he's doing a degree apprenticeship. And he was saying to my husband that his advice for young people would be to, right from a very young age, find something outside of the classroom that you enjoy doing, something that you yourself will now sit down and research on, not that they are teaching you. Because that is what you will use. So he started making cars. He would repair things. He would create things. And he did mention that his father was quite a hands-on creative person, and in their garage their dad would be creating all sorts of things. So you can see environment really exposed him to this world of creating engineering. So he's so excited about this. He was now spoiled for choice with two options because of something he did outside of the classroom. It was not what he did in the class, because what you're doing in the classroom is what everybody is doing. What are you doing that others are not doing? Because when you sit down for that Oxford or Cambridge or even that job interview or a scholarship interview, that is what will stand out. And then the bottom right side of the quadrant is future aspirations. Children must be taught early to have goals. And I was saying to my children recently that I believe God has made that job easier. God actually gives you a goal. God gives you a dream, a vision of what it is, where you see yourself. I remember having dreams of where I see myself as an older person, right? And those dreams, those visions actually stuck with me. So God even helps to make it give you a good starting point. But then you yourself now need to start thinking, start reading, start researching, seeking out knowledge. Again, our good book tells us that it is the glory of God to conceal a matter, but the glory of kings to search it out. You need to search out, what are those future aspirations that I have for myself? What do I want to do? How do I want to impact humanity? When you also think of from a place of impact, then you're well on your way on that journey from potential to performance, doing all that research.
Thank you so much.
Can
As
I add
much as I
something?
would have, sorry, you were
Can
going
I
to
add
say
something?
something? Okay, please go ahead.
Just to write on what Dr. Alo said. So I'm very strong on an environment that encourages self-belief. Now, referring to what that young man, the little guy that your husband met in the trains, he had self-belief. So I don't believe that children perform to the best of their potential alone by the academics, I also believe that it's important that the right school environment develops self belief, that ability to let them see that if I, lay my hands on something, I will prosper doing it. So beyond the potential, beyond the ability to perform, I think that a right environment must develop self belief in the child. Thank you.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
Bimpe. So,
Okay.
so sorry. This thing Dr. Tunji said is very powerful. Very, very. You know, one of my children changed school 7 times. 7 times. It's part of why I do what I do. What's made the seventh school different, apart from God perfecting it on the seventh one, is this belief. That was all. There were some concerns, very valid concerns, but we now put him in an environment where they believed so much in him,
Mm.
e- even more than we, the parents, because we had been battered and bruised from other schools telling us all sorts of stories. But then we find him in an environment where, oh, they are praising him. Oh, you can do this. You are the best at this. Like, and we just thought, wow. Now, his brothers joined the school, same thing. We've seen them blossom so much. Why? Because they believed in them. That was the variable that changed things. So to our parents on the call, oh, your belief in your child goes a very long way. I watched a video the other day, and the mom was praising the son for having swum so well. And he told his mom that when he looked up and saw his mom cheering him on, he wanted to make sure he was the first because he knew that his mom believed so much. It is feel, it is energizing to go from potential to performance. Yeah. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. Parents, I hope you're taking notes. And I promise you, you would have time to, we'll give you time to ask all those questions. I know you have so many questions you want to ask already, but just keep noting them down. That time would come when we would call for those questions. So, Dr. Alo, I would have loved to ask how parents can identify schools where that would give the children this kind of nurturing that you have explained, because already I'm fired up. I'm so I really would love to find those schools. But parents, I'll just tell you, reach out to Brains and Butter and they would do that for you. So I'll skip that question. So Coach Tunji, how can parents determine whether a child is emotionally or socially and academically ready for international education?
Thank you so much, Bingpe. Reality is that it's going to be difficult for them to be able to get that thoroughly. Why? Because their preferences, their prejudices, their biases, they're already being rubbed off on the child. So I will encourage them to seek professional help, where there'll be proper diagnosis. It's just like, so my father is a medical doctor, and all through his life, he never treated me. Why? Because part of the matrix of the medical profession is you don't treat your own family. So he always calls his colleague. We used to have malaria then growing up, and all of that. So come give us an injection. The same ways, when you get to that point where your interest is clashing with the realities of the outcomes, you probably will need, guess brain and butter will be able to do that, to be able to help them when they get to that junction. They can feel the form, and the way tech has gone now, the psychosocial evaluation I do for people, it brings out a lot. Is almost about 40 questions, and at the end of that, by the time we're unpacking it, we can see the impact, how the parents have been able to infuse their own outcome. My own father, I'm the only son. My father wanted me to be a medical doctor, but I wasn't wired to be one. So it's a silver lining. It's very trickish when they get to that junction. Yeah, I know that growing up, the puppy will see one is more wired to repair, another one is more wired to be in the sports space. But the truth is, the outcomes that we see, they're shaped, and it's not that's not who they are, that's who they have become. Right. I usually use this example. Imagine that, someone who grew up at the back end of Lagos in Mushin with huge potential grew up in Buckingham Palace. their realities will not be the same. So the environment also, begins to color the shadow of the reality of the boy or the girl who wants to choose a course. So I think it will be good for us to, rely on the psychosocial evaluation, know exactly where the parents have tried to infuse their fears, their objectives on the child. Then now be able to say, okay, based on what we saw from what the child felt and what the parent felt, we think that the child will do better with X, Y, Z. I'm very big on diagnosis because we in Africa we're very, prone to be stereotyped. That's the way they do it, that kind of feeling. So I think it's better we just leave that to do social evaluation to now counsel to say, based on what we find, based on the history of the family, based on what you said you noticed between ages 0 to 8, 8 to 12, we will suggest XYZ. And honestly, that's my opinion.
Thank you. Honestly, we have so much to unpack today, but unfortunately, time is never our friend. So, Dr. Arlo, on a final word for today, how can parents align school choices with their children's long-term goals and aspiration in order to move that child from potential to performance?
You need to start early.
Hmm.
You need to start early. You need to plan. You need to observe your child. I was thinking that we're going to be a lot of us are hearing or do a social analysis. Even parents themselves need to actually do that
Yeah.
analysis because, like Dr. Tunji was saying, you need to be healthy to donate blood. You need to actually understand yourself, understand your children. Even on the plane, they'll tell you wear your own mask first before you wear the mask of your children. So, if
Hmm.
for anyone who is interested here in that analysis or that evaluation, please just drop a comment and say yes, and then we'll get in touch with you. Don't worry about cost or anything like that. We'll sort something out for you. You're here on this call, you're here for a reason. We'll be able to do that evaluation. So, to answer the question, honestly, start early, plan, seek out expertise, invest in expertise,
Yeah.
invest in expertise. Let us get out of this mindset of free. Like,
Mm,
let's be ready to invest money. You paid for a degree, right? You pay for other things. Why is it that the one that is now your personal development, your own growth, you are now going to be stingy to yourself and you don't want to invest in it because for some reason you can't see the importance of it? And that's why I always
mm,
say that any parent that engages brains and butter is already a very serious person because you're ready to make an investment in education. Not just education in terms of the school environment, but even just being exposed to learning and
mm,
people that would inspire you, that would shake some tables for you and move you to the next level. You have to be able to invest. If you do free all the time, everybody's accessing free. So be ready to make an investment. That's why you need to plan early. You need to put a financial plan in place and prepare. If you can't afford it, then prepare the child. There are scholarships available, there are buses available. There's a lady who was so excited the other day all over Instagram. Her daughter got 100% scholarship to one of the top schools in the UK. 100%.
yeah.
100%. And this is a
It's
single
hard.
mother. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she was able to prepare. So they must have had this goal. And the daughter too had a goal. She must have taken the daughter to go and see the school. The daughter saw everything. I was like, I want to be in this place. And
Hmm.
everything just kicked in differently. And she's on 100% scholarship, not a dime
Hmm.
are they having to
Mm,
pay. So
mm.
that's what planning early does. That's what having that vision does, and the goals that we talked about.
Amazing. Parents, if I were you, I would jump on this offer that Brains and Butter has put out there. It says you should come for psycho-social analysis, and
Yeah.
they're willing to go ahead with it with you. So, parents, if I were you, I would jump on it right now. Okay, so Coach Tunji, final word from you for today. If a parent leaves this webinar remembering one thing about choosing a school, what should it be?
Um, So for me, I think that if a parent should leave anything, from this seminar, they should first seek help.
Hmm.
Honestly, no caps, because I found out that many parents, they make choices based on assumptions. Like I said earlier, they project their own aspiration, their own fears. Like I've always said, I mean, I share this story to drive on my points. Someone walks into my office and says, "Oh, my elder son is bullying his daughter. I mean, bullying, yeah, the junior sister and all of that." So I said, "Okay, can I have the session with the kids?" Spoke to the kids. So when the kids stepped out of my office, I told the mother to express how she corrects the boy harassing the daughter. Then the mother said, "Stop, I told you to stop harassing your sister." I said, "Physician, heal thyself." The kids don't have a problem. It's the mother that has projected how the boy should handle the girl by how she's responding to the girl. So
Hmm.
that's why I said earlier that a lot of times we use the wrong approach to try to reinforce the right behavior. So if there's anything, an average parent is still parenting from trauma,
Hmm.
and we're raising children um who are not, given the five basic things. A child should leave a home with innocence, with freedom, with peace, with curiosity, with fearlessness. Most times, those five things they're missing from, an average child who wants to get into school. So, if I would say anything, I think an average parents they need to take the medicine they're badly, you know, looking forward to give their children to swallow. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Five things the children should leave a home with. Parents, I know you have learned so much today, and I'm sure you have questions. We have time to take maybe about two, max three questions because our time is fast spent. So please start dropping your questions in the Q&A session. It's been a very packed conversation today, and we're talking about moving your child from potential to performance. Do we have questions? If you would like to ask your questions real life, you can just indicate by a show of hand and would allow you to ask your questions. But if not, you can just type it in the Q&A and we would harvest the questions there. Let me see, do we have any questions? Um, just a minute, let me just check for
I think we have
questions.
Mrs. Ania's hands are up and we have two in the
Okay, please, can you enable her mic so she can ask a question?
Good morning. Good morning, Coach Judy. Good morning, Dr. Hallo. I know that
Morning.
it's so obvious for everyone to know that, yeah, I work with Brains and Butter. I'm the manager at Brains and Butter. But this is a question at the heart of every parent, and this is what we do at Brains and Butter, bringing you something we've experienced, something we know that works for every parent. Can you still hear me clearly? So we've walked
Loud
the
and clear.
path, we've seen what it is, and that's why we're bringing this sort of conversation to our parents. So my question is, Coach Tunji, yourself and Dr. Alice talked about self-realities, and Dr. Alice even, made an example of how, a school believed in the child and, they actually championed him to be a success. The question is, how do you as a parent, yeah, because I have a son, and how do you balance, or do you help, balance that reality, that self, no, how do I put it now? It's something around sorry, let me just, because I had it noted down. So how do you balance self-belief and realities? Self-belief being that yeah, you want to champion him, you want to say, yeah, you can do it, you can, and then how do you match it with realities? So it's during a foundation course, it's supposed to study medicine. And the results, you have 4 terms. Your result is not matching to what you say you want to study. So we are having to put out a plan B. And then He's saying that you guys don't believe in me. You don't trust me that I can do this. Each time you guys are calling me into a meeting and saying that I should choose another course. So how do you, as a parent, yeah, we're trying, not to put out those our own fears on him. So how do you match that? How do you help out? So
Okay.
that's my question. I hope I haven't taken too much time. Thank you very much.
No, no, thank you. Thank you for that question. I mean, I get that quite some when people sign in for our parenting coaching sessions. The reality for that conversation to have even came up in the first place, it shows that your child has lost his or her innocence when she was growing up. Innocence is that ability to say, I can trust easily. When mommy say, I should do this, she's saying it from, the best of her intent. So when I was speaking earlier, I wish I had more time to unpack it. I said that a healthy child comes out with innocence, fearlessness, freedom, joy, peace, curiosity. It still goes back to the drawing board where a lot of parents are still parenting from trauma. They're not even healed. And a lot of parents are not well. I mean, well, not on, I mean, psychosis. When I say well, they're not emotionally well. So, and they're meant to determine the level of wellness of the child. Doesn't that sound like a paradox? Right? So it goes back to, so how do I think the better question is, or my counsel is, you first need to regain the trust of the child so that even when it's going right and you think you should go left, it will be easier to influence, when there is connection. It shows beyond the decision. There's something beneath that shows that there's a disconnection. The guy or the girl had lost trust in the parenting style of the parents. So it's trust first. It's easier. I will listen to Dr. Alo much more than I'll listen to anyone on this group. Why? Because I've known her longer, right? So influence, I mean, in let me put it this way, relationship precedes influence. You want to influence the child to be better, but let's go back to the quality of the relationship you have with that child. It shows that the quality of the relationship is not healthy. The child has lost his innocence. So go back to the drawing board on how to build that trust. Then they will better listen to you when you think that their choice of course is not right and they should do something different. That's my thoughts, honestly.
Okay, thank you. I have a question here. How do
Okay.
you balance the needs of the parents and that of the child? E.g., a child wants to go to a school strong in arts and crafts, and his or her parent wants them to go to a school strong in academics. How do you handle that?
Dr. Allah allows you to take that.
Okay, so let me just go through that question again. How do you balance the needs of the parent and that of the child? Hmm. Okay. So it is not the parent that is going to the school. It is the child that is going to the school. So if we're talking about the financial um, demand on the parent or the convenience or inconvenience that would be on the parent, then that's a different conversation. If we're looking at needs and the profile and what the child is really aspiring to do, it needs to be about the child. Otherwise, you will frustrate that child. So if you end up going to um, a school that meets the needs of the parents. So I'll give you my own personal example. When my son was choosing his GCSE options, his dad felt that computer science should be there because computer science, oh, is trending, robotics, right? But guess what? My son likes history. And that initially was like, whoa, okay, history. What are you going to use history to do? And I remember saying to him that honestly, at the GCSE level, do you know it's the results that matter to a large extent? Yes, you're going to, um, you know, learn something from that computer science, but really you want to get great results in your GCSEs. That's what you really want to get. I know people who have done PE for A levels just so they can get an A and they can say, I got an A in A levels. So you really want it to be about what the child needs. However, it's also your job to guide. not to enforce, not to like it's this, you must do it this way. You can still guide. And that takes me back to Mrs. Aneyo's question. Because there was something I wanted to say about the question she asked. I think it's a very, very important question. We need to go back to the why. Why does why does your son want to study medicine? Is it because of the title of doctor? Or is it because he wants to actually perform surgeries? Or he actually likes medicine? Why? Then after we ask that question of why, let's also understand, okay, what is going on that the results are not necessarily matching up? Why has there been a disconnect between the why and the the performance that we are seeing? And it also needs to be made clear to him that we have not lost faith in your goals at all. We still believe very much that you can do this, but we don't want you to be in a situation where it's all or nothing. Even the Garden of Eden had four streams that flowed into the Garden of Eden. So we're just trying to have a bit of a backup option there. So like Coach Tunji was saying, we need to restore that trust, restore that innocence, but also let the child know that we still believe in your goal. Just before we take the next question, I
Yes,
just
so
want
we
to,
have three parents' hands
yes,
on. So I
sorry,
don't know if we can take those questions quickly. So maybe
yes,
we make our answers as short as
short, okay,
possible so that, yes. So
yes.
we have Jimmy Wonder. Please, can you make Jimmy Wonder's mic, can you enable Jimmy Wonder's mic?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, okay. My name is Jumoke. I
Oh,
have two sons. One is already in the university, although he wanted to study law, but he didn't meet up with the court. We are in Nigeria, we're not abroad. He didn't meet up with the cutoff. So they gave him psychology, sociology. But his dad has been like, he must make sure that he actually wanted to do law. But his dad is really putting so much pressure on him that you must make sure that you the university he is University of Ibadan. So they said there's an option. If you can come up with the best grade, they can switch to do law. And his daddy has always been like, it is so much pressure on him. Sometimes I feel this is becoming too much because he is like, if you do law, law is this, law is that. That is where he is coming from. But I am not coming from that end. I'm just like, let this boy, let him try where he is. Let him do his best. I don't want us to put too. I don't know how can I balance it that this boy will not be affected. I don't know how he's going to be affected. And on the other hand, I have another son who, right from his primary school, he has been saying, I want to go to the University of Massachusetts. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it well. He has been saying he's very technology inclined. He likes putting things together. He's going to bring that. But sometimes we feel that this thing is disturbing his schoolwork. You say you want to build something, you may be there all day. If you really want to do something, you may not sleep all through the night. And when you stop him that this is enough, you can say, you can scatter everything and say, I don't want to do it again. So I don't know. Sometimes I'm on the edge. I'll be like, he's writing WAEC at the moment. How can I help this boy that he's always been saying, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do. At the same time, he's very young. He's telling me, he's writing WAEC, he's 14. He's telling me he's going to the university this year. I said, how are you going to do it? He said, that's what I want to do. So how can we help this kind of child? How can we balance things to make sure that we are not like I feel my husband is like they said some parents are coming from the background trauma parenting like they mentioned. I think that's what is happening to my husband. He has been like, if you are not a lawyer, then it has to be a doctor. You know that thing that our parents used to say that time. So and when I say it's the other way, my husband feels that you are the one that is allowing the students to you are the one that is allowing them to do what they like, or you don't want to encourage them, or how can we balance it? That's my question. Monza.
thank you.
Thank you so very much for sharing that. There are a lot of things I can, from your question, I can see a whole lot of things. First and foremost, it's obvious that you and your husband don't have a voice yet. So you've corrected a loophole for the child to thrive. right? Yes, it's okay for, daddy to feel do sciences, mommy feels do law. But you see, once the child begins to feel that one parent supports what he wants to do, and the other parent doesn't, it's already created a crack in the wall. So both of you need to go back to the drawing board to adjust your parenting style. That's one. Two, it still comes back to what I said earlier. You see, when children trust their parents enough, counseling them contrary to their beliefs will not be a problem. All right. So it's those things are symptoms. The root of it is how have they been raised? And thank you for admitting that an average African parent is parenting from trauma, and it's parenting from fear, the fear of missing out. Oh, just like you said, is he doing law because everybody is doing law? Or is he doing law because that's really what he wants to do? Because an average parent just want their kids to do what everyone is doing. And you see, fear-based, support or bias, one thing it does is that it narrows thinking and it reduces objective evaluation. Okay, so to be able to help with both of them coming out, I would honestly suggest that both of you should seek parenting coaching to be able to align a couple of things. Then we can now begin to deal with the symptoms. Because if we deal with the symptoms without going to the root, after you cross this bridge of what should you do, we will still cross another bridge. That's why you see some parents and say you must marry someone like Yoruba, don't marry Igbo because you haven't gotten to the root of it. Yeah. So there are a lot of more questions that I'll have loved to ask. And I'm very careful about giving a one size fits all answer because I'm big on diagnosis. I need to also diagnose what kind of family are you running. Are you running a kingdom based family? Are you running a conventional? Are you running the one that supports? I mean, so it's a whole lot that can be there. But honestly, I think both of you should seek professional help to realign your parenting style so that the outcomes will not be totally different from what you desire. That's my thoughts. Thank you.
Yeah. And I would actually like to offer Mrs. Jumi Wonderhands a complimentary 30 minutes session because she was the first to say yes when we talked about the psychosocial analysis. So we'll be happy to have that with her. In the meantime, what I would just say is that your role right now is as a mediator in the home. You'll need a lot of wisdom to sort of navigate between your husband and
The
your
kids.
boys. Yes.
Yeah.
You have a key role to play in this time and it needs a lot of wisdom, but we'll unpack that when we have the 30-minute session because there are a lot more questions we want to ask. But it sounds like you have amazing boys in your
Very
home.
amazing.
Yes, and by the grace of God you will be instrumental in navigating this journey so carefully that the best of them emerges by the grace of God. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that answer. Okay, so we'll take Kehinde Oshundino now. Please, can you enable Kehinde Oshundino's
And we have
mic?
another parent, Mrs.
Yes, we have
Chibo.
another
Yeah.
parent. So I think that will be all for today. Yes, so let's enable Kehinde Oshundino.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you
I
hear
can
me?
do. Oh, loud
Yes,
and
we
clear.
can. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes, thank you for having me on board. Mine is more like a contribution, not necessarily a question, and I'll make it quick and snappy because I've actually tried to type my contribution and just to encourage other parents out there. Um, I'm an educator and I'm in an environment where I see all kinds of children with all kinds of talents, and I'm constantly interacting with parents. So lots of things I've heard today, I mean, I'm quite familiar. And if anyone has read what I put in the chat
Yes.
there, I particularly made reference to my own child,
Mm,
who I noticed very, very, very early is he just is is easily drawn to vehicles,
mm,
whatever the car. And anytime we go to the petrol station together, then many, many years back, he would always ask me to buy model cars for him. And I can remember we had a collection of model cars. I had all kinds of Legos. We
mm,
are always building these things. It meant nothing to me at that time of my life.
mm.
But that is exactly, I'm looking back now, I
Yes.
can see that I've enabled him. I've enabled him. and we would assemble these things. We would not dismantle them. It would be analyzing. Initially, he said to me he wanted to be an aeronautical engineer. I said, okay, that's fine. This is quite early. See, I'm struggling to pronounce that. We went to all kinds of shows. We went to air shows. We went to museums of all, not just ordinary museums, just to fan the flame, because I didn't know where and what he wanted to do. I wasn't thinking in that line of career, but I was following him in his passion, in his interest. We'll go to all car museums. I can remember we went to a place in Edmonton where we had all kinds of aeroplanes that had ever flown in the earth there. Then when he was saying he's interested in anything that is auto.
Yeah.
And then he would go to car shows with friends, with other families. I have never been with him.
Wow.
But my point is following his trail.
Hmm.
And I didn't know what it would eventually come out of all this. He went on to study he went on to study at the uni, and he was actively looking in that he didn't wave in any direction. And then he was applying for employment in Rolls-Royce, employment in places where the autos are. I'm telling you today, he is in that industry.
Wow.
He's there and is having the time of his life. And he's living on his own, but he would tell me, I'm going on this show, I'm going on this, that. He's going to speak at university. He speaks, he delivers, talks to young people about his own journey and how he found himself. It wasn't something I was pushing, but I was following his interest. And the same thing for his, but I was following their interest, fanning the flame, and just with I and my husband just saying, where are they going with their personal interest? So we went, do science, or do maths, do English. No. What is your personal interest? That was what we were following. And he's ended up in a place where he won't exchange it for anything else.
Yeah.
So please pay attention to what they love. And that's what I always say to anyone who would also come to me asking me about what should I do with this child. Pay attention to what is it that your child loves. Some children, I just see them, they're going to be in the performance industry because they just, it's a walk away. They just ease into this without any stress.
Yeah.
Pay attention. That's what I would say. Pay attention to what's going on with your child, and you won't stress. Your child won't be in the wrong place. Let me end it there. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you so much for that contribution. That was amazing.
Yes,
Thank you.
I'm so glad she shared it because I wanted to read it. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll take the last question for today. I'm so sorry we have shot beyond time, but I think it's been worth it. Okay, so I'll take Unoma Ashibogu. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Please, can we enable her mic?
Hello, good morning, everyone. Sorry, I can't put on my camera.
It's
I'm
okay.
still in my pajamas, legit. Anyway, I'm a teacher and I've listened to all the conversations, and I see parent perspectives, and then I see the student perspective. And basically it's a case of parents, you need to listen to your child. A lot of parents don't listen to their children. You already have this future you've planned out for them, and it should be like this. But children nowadays are children that you can't, if you want peace as a parent, you need to humble yourself and ask your child, why? Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to do that? And then you also tell them your why.
Yeah.
7 times out of 10, I've seen this work, and the child, you reach a compromise. I have a case in point. I work with children with specific learning difficulties in secondary, about to get into life, about to get into university. And this is a very, this topic is very hot for them because the parents are like, if I'm going to invest thousands of pounds or dollars sending you abroad, you're going to do what I want to do. And I'm like, no. For one thing, most students I've learned with specific learning difficulties are so talented in the creatives and the arts.
Yeah.
And I have spoken to parents about this, and they let them do what they want to do. And because I told them at the end of the day, what do you want for your child? You want your child to be independent, making a living for themselves, move out of your house, get a life. So if they are going to do these things, let them. And then there are cases where they've let the children. I have a child, she wants to work in a catering, there's a bakery, there's one fancy bakery in Lekki. She's like, that's where she wants to do her internship. And her parents are like, but we want you to do something like economics after. And she's like, no, okay. We're like, I said, don't argue with her. She wants working this. She wants to get her go to the bakery for 2 weeks. After the 2 weeks, they asked her, do you still want? She was like, no, I don't want to do that. It's too much stress. People complain. That's one. Another one was like, he wants to work in the entertainment industry. He wants to be musicians and actors. The parents were like, oh, I was like, let him go. This is my nephew now. He went, did the internship in the IB. You do an internship, I think, for like during the summer holidays, you come back to school. And then by the time he came back, he's like, no, he does not want to do that. So I was like, give them a taste of what it is they think they want.
Yeah.
You want to do it, Abby? Oh, yeah. Go and do an internship or something. Go and work with people that are doing it. Go and, I've seen this happen like in this occasion. I'm like, just let them be. They want to do this. I show them, this is why I want you to be a lawyer. Because lawyers get, they get paid per hour. They live good lives. They have money. They are this, they are that, and the other. But if you want to do this, I also want you to have a good life, have money, take care of yourself. If you are sure from this skill, you can do it. Because even for the skills, there are schools for dancing. There are schools for acting. I always tell parents, I'm like, yeah, and they are not, they don't have as many requirements as the standard university. But there are some colleges that you can still get, get a qualification in. It doesn't have to be a Bachelor of Arts or a Master of Science. You can just talk to them. So it's a case of listen. Tell your children why? Children nowadays, we don't just say you're going to do this. So you have to tell them why. You can't even say go to the market and why? Why should I buy? You have to tell them because we need to eat it in the evening by 6 or something. You just have to. That's the children we're living with now. So I'm in the middle of this conversation and I see the parents like, no, you must do this, and the child is like, no, I want to do that. So we need that middle point. I think that communication, and once we get that. And of course, the trauma parenting, get what your traumas are. Identify what your traumas are, where you're propelling these children from. I think once you do that and you actually listen to your children and then get your children to listen to you too, I think, it would really solve a lot of these challenges. Yes. Thank you. Anthony, hi. I don't know if you remember me from Larry Odushola.
I might not by name, but I do better with face. All right, so no, my good contribution. I just also wanted to 1, 2 or 2 things to add on that.
She's showing her face.
Where's the face? Where are you? Sorry, I don't even know where.
You're not muted, Onoma.
No, I said we were in Larry Olushola's
teaching class. Yeah. Onoma, how are you? Good. Just to write on what she said, I always say to parents, you have to first be a student. Every parent must first be a student of their children before they become a teacher to their children. Right? And in Africa, we glide on the fact that we are saying the right thing. There are times where parents are saying the right thing in the wrong way. Right, because you can say the right thing in the wrong way and the kids will get it totally wrong. So to write on what the other speaker said and what Sonoma said is, let's learn to be students of our children before we start to become teachers to them. You'll find out that it will be seamless and both parties will be properly heard and the right decisions will be made going forward. Just wanted to add that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's been an amazing day.
Yes.
But I want to take just one more question. So please, can you enable Mrs. Toyin Yeshua's mic? And that'll be the final question for today.
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, Toyin.
Thank you, Mr. Dr. Tunji. Thank you, Dr. Alo, for all the contributions, and thank you, Binkwe. Nice hearing your voice once again. Thank you for honoring our invitation. Okay, so basically I have a question and I actually typed it. I don't know if it wasn't seen. I said, what are some of the measures in place for a child who has gone through emotional stress of bullying in elementary school and the right school is already in place, but the child is still reluctant and the parents are insisting based on assumption that this school will never accept bullying? So what do you do to that? How do you address that situation? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Yeshua. This one has to go on a journey with this child. There's actually no school that is 100% devoid of bullying. Yeah. Just that some schools have stronger
Okay.
anti-bullying measures in
Yeah.
place, and they will nip it in the bud on time. So first of all, I'm asking myself, is this a day school or a boarding school? Because if it's a boarding school, I want to know the boarding house this child will be in, because the house parents will have a key role to play. We will need to set up a counselor, whatever school the child goes to, whether it's the school that mom and dad feel will not accept bullying, or is a different school that the child wants to. The child, that's the impact of bullying that the child has gone through is already there somehow,
Yeah.
and we need
Yeah.
to surgically, through a lot of coaching and mentoring and counseling, remove the impact, because bullying leaves a lot of terrible impact in a child. So the school environment we can find a school environment that has a strong anti-bullying measure in place,
Nice.
but the
Yeah.
parents really need to be on the matter. A different kind of parenting approach is needed for this child, because the child is already injured and hurting. So a process, a plan needs to be put in place to help this child heal, and the parents need to be so on it with this child. And with that consistent counseling, is a lot of talking, a lot of mentoring, a lot of, being at it with the boarding house parents, or, at the end of school, making sure you're finding time for this child. There's a lot of work that goes into it, but eventually you start to see the child, emerge, and seek expertise for the child. Seek expertise, even where maybe it's an expensive counseling measure,
Psychotherapy.
therapy.
Therapy.
There are
Yeah.
actually some bodies that would even help with some grants or some funds to help the child. So help is, and there are NGOs that are actually dedicated to these sort of things as well. And let's not even put any shame to the matter, because at the end of the day, you want a well-rounded adult. I've seen too many broken adults who, if early intervention was put in place, what we are seeing in their early 20s would not be the case. But some parents are either shy, or they feel a bit, not even shy, shame. They do, as if you're not the first person to have a problem in your home. Parenting is not for the faint-hearted. Parenting is quite a role. So that's why I always clap for parents at any opportunity I have, because you are doing a fantastic job. So there should not be any shame. Nobody, if anybody is making you feel like, oh, their children are perfect A stars, that person is lying to you. So let's not have any shame on the matter. Seek help for that child, so that that child can heal. If somebody is sick, will the person not go to the hospital to get treatment? And after the treatment does its course, the person feels better. Same thing, the emotional treatment available for children, and you need people who are trained in these ways of dealing with
Yeah.
these issues. You'll be amazed. Some people just one session they will cover so much, or a couple of sessions.
Just to write on that, the psychosocial support we mentioned. So there's something we do in our organization called emotional rehabilitation for people who has gone through bullying. Just the same way when someone has a mental health disorder, they go to physical rehab. Sometimes those kids need emotional rehabilitation to get them ready for the realities of the social environment needed for the school they're going into. I'm sure Dr. Alo will unpack that for you when you reach out to that. It's been an amazing time here today.
Absolutely. It's been an amazing time here. And honestly, I wish we could go on and on, but no, we need to round up at some point. So I'm sure some of you are just joining us for the first time. Some of you are meeting Brains and Butter for the first time, and you're wondering, what is Brains and Butter all about? So in the next few minutes, we're going to tell you what Brains and Butter is all about and what we offer. So let's have that. And feel free to reach out to Brains and Butter. I'm sure links and contact details and all of that would be in the chat, so that parents can invest it and contact Brains and Butter on and take it from there.
Hello, family. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, what a session. What a session. Really, really impactful. Thank you, Coach Tunji. You said it takes the healthy to donate blood. Amazing, amazing. And also thank you, Dr. Aldo. You said something very, very so important. You said thriving is superior to survival. Many of us are used to surviving. Thank you so much. So I will quickly walk us through what I have here. So at this point, I would want every eyes to be on your screen. So I don't know if you can see my screen, everybody.
Yes, we can.
Yes,
Oh,
we
thank
can.
you.
Yes,
Thank
we
you.
can.
Thank you. So it is no longer news that at Brains and Butter, we care so much about your preference. We care so much about your child. So we don't just want your child to get an admission into a school. We also want them to get into an environment where they thrive. So who we are Africa's #1 boarding school placement consultancy. And this is not just mouth talk. We have guided over 200 families with 10 years plus of experience, 98% success rates. And here we have relationship with over 500 schools in the UK. Amazing. So now, what are the challenges that parents face when they want to get their children into schools in the UK? You know, the distance dilemma. Many of our parents are here in Nigeria. Most of them are, far from where the schools are. Managing that admission process is quite overwhelming for some of our parents, some of our clients. And this is what we do here. We have our head office in the UK. Our lead consultant is also in the UK. So that gap has been bridged. Now, the information overload. We've seen so many parents who try to, do these things themselves. They go to the school's websites, they get materials, they try to do these things themselves, but that is not enough. You need somebody physically in that environment to give you the best. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Go ahead.
All right, thank you, thank you. And just like we all heard, it is not just about the academic, right? Parents worry about the culture. How is my child doing? Will my child fit this environment, right? Who is my child interacting with? Who are their friends? What is the environment like? All of these we got you covered here at Brains and Butter. And we have 3 amazing testimonies. We have a lot of testimonies, but here are 3 unique testimonies from our clients. You can see the name and the services that they got from us. You can see what we did for them, and this is what they say about Brains and Butter, right? And here, we also have other services. So beyond the placements, we support you through guardianship. Your child is far away from home in the UK, but we make them feel at home. We provide that environment, that atmosphere where they don't really miss home, right? We provide that 24/7 safety, care, and local support. And we do tutorials. Do you have children preparing for exams? Children are not thriving in a particular course or subject. We provide bespoke one-on-one coaching to bridge that gap. So we don't just have tutors, from anywhere. We have teachers who give tailored solutions to your children. And we also prepare children for interviews. A lot of parents don't know that aside the application, your child needs to be ready for interview, right? Some of them don't know how to speak to the school's admission supervisors. Many of them are nervous. Many of them don't know what to say. However, they are brilliant, they're intelligent, but we need to prepare them for that interview. We also do scholarship. We have these insights, right? We get insights to scholarship and bursaries very early, and we provide these informations to parents. And university admission. If you have anyone who is looking at transitioning into schools in the UK, we do that. We are so good at it. And why should you choose Brains and Butter? You can see we are certified. BSA, Boarding School Association, we are certified. So we don't just do this thing, right, out of the blues. We are really certified. They know us, they know who we are registered. And we have this kind of approach, which is called the child-centered approach. Just like Coach Tunji said in the webinar, that we should listen to our children, listen to your child, hear from them. So we have this approach this medium that we get these things done for your kids. Now, end-to-end management. So from the inquiry, from the very moment that you contact Brains and Butter, we get in charge. We do these things for you from start to finish. So we don't leave you halfway. We don't leave you guessing. We don't leave you, start wondering, oh, what are the next steps? Where are we on this journey? So we do everything for you from start to finish. And we have access to scholarship. Now, this is the most important part of the whole presentation. We are giving out free complimentary session. Just like Mrs. Jumi Wonders, congratulations once again. You got a free complimentary session from our lead consultant. Amazing. So we are giving out free complimentary session immediately after this webinar. The link will be in the chat box. Click on the link, sign up to get on this quickly, because this is just for a short time. And our phone number is on the screen, our email is on the screen, and you can visit our website at www.brainsandbutter.com. And our physical location is at number 79 Obafemi Awolowo Way, Trinity Mall, Ikeja, Lagos. I am looking forward to so many inquiries. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, family. It's really an awesome time. And yes, over to you, Mrs. Da Silva. Thank you so much.
That was amazing. Yes, I can say for free that Brains and Butter are the best at what they do. So feel free to contact Brains and Butter and begin that journey to getting the best fit for your child now. So it's been an amazing time at the webinar today. You parents, you have been fantastic. I love the energy. I love the engagement and all of that. We want to say a very special thank you to you. But who is best at saying that thank you than the very lead consultant of Brains and Butter, Dr. Alo? Over to you.
Oh, wow. Let me start by thanking Mrs. Da Silva. I know the sacrifice you've made to host this morning. You're meant to be at the National Theatre, and our parents are, still here asking questions, and you want to be sure that our parents are well looked after. So thank you so much for the personal sacrifice you've made and for facilitating what you can clearly see has been a very enjoyable time. The time has gone by so fast. And to our amazing parents, to those that have spoken and shared their experiences, share their situations, we are so grateful for your presence here. I want to especially thank Coach Tunji, Dr. Tunji Babajide. When Mrs. Ashibogo was talking about the Lanre community, there are a number of us here who have been a part of the Lanre community, and I can see that some of us know each other here. That is amazing. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much, Dr. Tunji, for your time.
The pleasure is all mine.
So great to have you. He's a wealth of experience. Like he's always top of my lips for recommendations to our families whenever we are having certain tricky situations. I'm like, there's no situation too tricky for Coach Tunji to handle. So thank you so much, sir, for your time this morning. So the phenomenal Brains and Butter team, wow, I'm so proud of my team. They've done such a fantastic job the entire week, all sorts of content, promotionals to make sure today is a great success. God bless you all. It has been a wonderful time. To our parents, members of the community, teachers who are here, our associates who are here as well, thank you so much. We're going to be back again in July by the grace of God, bigger and better by the grace of God. Thank you so much, everyone. And a special shout out to my mother. My mom has been on this call. She had a tax call that she could have been listening to tax. Tax is not funny, but my mom is like, okay, this is my daughter's webinar. I'm going to be here. And that is what I have enjoyed. My father passed on 18 years ago, and my mother has done her best to make sure that any which way she can fill that gap, she fills it. And mommy, I'm so grateful. I love you so much. Thank you so much, mommy, for being part of this webinar and all the webinars and all the events that we're always having. I'm so blessed to be from my mother and father's loin. So thank you so much, everyone. I trust that you've had an amazing time with us this morning. Please have a sensational Saturday and enjoy your weekend. Thank you. And happy new month ahead. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. So on this note, we draw the curtain on today's webinar. Till we come again in July, like Dr. Alu has said, enjoy.